Putting God first is not just a spiritual principle. It is a life-changing strategy that impacts every area of your existence. It means making God the foundation upon which everything else is built, ensuring that no matter what happens, your life remains stable, purposeful, and aligned with His divine plan. Think about a house. No matter how beautiful the exterior is, if the foundation is weak, the entire structure is at risk of collapsing. The same is true for our lives. We can chase success, relationships, wealth, and personal growth, but if God is not the foundation, it all remains fragile and temporary. So many people wake up every day feeling lost, uncertain about their purpose, struggling with stress and anxiety, or constantly searching for the next thing that will make them feel fulfilled. This happens because they have placed their foundation on things that shift and change. Money comes and goes. People change. Opportunities rise and fall. The world is unpredictable. And if your foundation is in anything other than God, you will always feel like you're on unstable ground. But when God is first in your life, no matter what storms come, no matter what trials arise, you remain unshaken. You may bend, but you will not break. You may stumble, but you will not fall apart. Because when God is first, He becomes your anchor, your guide, and your strength. When you put God first, your perspective shifts. You stop making decisions based purely on emotions, fears, or societal pressures. Instead, you operate from a place of wisdom and divine guidance. Imagine a person walking through a dense fog with no map, no compass, and no sense of direction. That's how life feels without God at the center. You may take steps, but you don't really know where you're going. You may try to rely on your own understanding, but human knowledge is limited. However, when you put God first, it's like having a bright light shining through that fog, showing you the path ahead, helping you avoid pitfalls, and leading you toward your destiny. Many people think that putting God first means giving up their dreams, desires, or ambitions, but the truth is, it enhances them. God is not trying to take anything away from you. He is trying to elevate you. When you put Him first, He refines your vision, aligns your goals with His purpose, and directs you toward greater things than you could have imagined for yourself. Some people work tirelessly, striving to achieve success, only to find themselves exhausted, burned out, and unfulfilled. But when you put God first, you operate from a place of peace. You no longer feel like you have to force things to happen. You trust that what is meant for you will come to you in divine timing. Fear is one of the biggest obstacles to putting God first. People fear letting go of control. They fear surrendering their plans. They fear what they cannot see. But the truth is, control is an illusion. No matter how much we plan, prepare, or strategize, there will always be things outside of our control. That's why trusting God is so powerful. When you truly put Him first, you release the burden of trying to control every detail of your life. You step into a place of faith, knowing that He is guiding you, providing for you, and working things out in ways you may not even understand yet. Putting God first doesn't mean life will be without challenges. It doesn't mean you won't face setbacks, disappointments, or difficulties. What it does mean is that you will have the strength to endure, the wisdom to navigate obstacles, and the faith to keep moving forward even when things don't make sense. It means that in times of struggle, you don't rely on your own limited strength, you rely on God's unlimited power. It means that when doors close, you trust that something better is ahead. It means that when you don't understand why something is happening, you know that God's plan is bigger than what you can see in the moment. Too often, people put their careers, relationships, and personal ambitions ahead of God, thinking that if they just work hard enough, they will eventually find happiness. But what happens when those things fail? What happens when the job doesn't fulfill you, when the relationship falls apart, when the achievements feel empty? If God is not your foundation, those moments will shake you to your core. But if He is first, you will not be defined by your circumstances. You will not be broken by loss. You will not be consumed by stress, because your identity and security are rooted in something that cannot be taken away. People chase money thinking it will give them security. They chase status thinking it will give them significance. They chase relationships thinking they will find wholeness. But security, significance, and wholeness only truly come from God. He is the only source that can provide unshakable peace. He is the only source that can give you true fulfillment. Everything else is temporary, but God is eternal. When you put him first, you are building on something that lasts forever. Think about the most successful people in the world. Some have all the money, fame, and influence they could ever want, yet they are miserable, anxious, or lost. Why? Because material things cannot fill a spiritual void. You can have everything externally and still feel empty internally. That's why putting God first is not just about external success, it's about internal fulfillment. It's about knowing that no matter what you have or don't have, you are complete because God is with you. When you put God first, your relationships improve. You stop looking to people to complete you and start bringing wholeness into your relationships. You stop expecting others to fill a void only God can fill, and you start loving from a place of abundance instead of need. When you put God first, your career decisions become more meaningful. You don't just work for a paycheck, you work with purpose. You don't just chase success, you chase significance. When you put God first, even the way you handle challenges changes. Instead of reacting with fear, doubt, or frustration, you approach problems with faith, patience, and wisdom. Putting God first is not a one-time decision. It's a daily commitment. Every morning you have a choice. Will you start your day with faith or with fear? Will you make decisions based on trust or based on worry? Will you prioritize your spiritual growth or get consumed by the distractions of the world? The world is loud, filled with opinions, pressures, and noise. But God's voice is steady, guiding, and true. When you choose to listen to him first, everything else falls into place. The greatest leaders, the most impactful people, and the most fulfilled individuals have one thing in common. They put God first. Not just when it was convenient, not just when they needed something, but consistently in every area of their lives. When you make that decision, everything changes. Your mindset shifts, your peace increases, and your life takes on a whole new level of meaning. The moment you decide to put God first, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop striving and start trusting. You stop operating from a place of lack and start living from a place of divine abundance. Chasing success is one of the most common pursuits in the world today. People wake up every morning thinking about how to achieve more, how to get ahead, how to win, and how to prove themselves. Success is drilled into our minds from a young age as the ultimate goal. We are told to work hard, climb the ladder, make a name for ourselves, and accumulate as much wealth and recognition as possible. Society praises those who appear to have made it. The wealthy, the powerful, the famous. They are idolized and seen as the standard of achievement. Yet so many of these people, despite all they have, still feel unfulfilled. There are countless stories of people who reach the pinnacle of success only to find themselves feeling empty, lost, or disconnected from true happiness. That is because success alone is not enough. Without purpose, success is just an illusion, a never-ending chase that leaves you exhausted rather than fulfilled. Purpose is different. Purpose is not about what you achieve. It is about why you do what you do. It is about what drives you, what gives your life meaning, and what fuels your passion in a way that serves something greater than yourself. When you chase purpose instead of just success, everything shifts. You stop making decisions based purely on money, status, or recognition, and start making decisions that align with who you were truly created to be. Purpose gives your work meaning. Purpose makes even the most challenging moments worthwhile. Purpose fuels resilience, determination, and fulfillment in a way that success alone never can. One of the greatest mistakes people make is assuming that success will bring purpose, when in reality, it is purpose that brings true success. When you live with purpose, you don't just work for a paycheck, you work with passion. You don't just strive for external achievements, you focus on internal growth. You don't just chase numbers, titles, or fame, you chase impact. And when you chase impact, success naturally follows. The most influential and fulfilled people in history did not set out to be successful. They set out to fulfill a purpose. They had a vision that was bigger than themselves. They understood that true achievement is not measured by how much you accumulate, but by how much you contribute. Living for success alone can be exhausting. It requires constant validation from the outside world. You have to keep proving yourself, keep outperforming others, keep running on a treadmill that never stops. The pressure is relentless. But when you shift from chasing success to chasing purpose, that pressure lifts. Instead of competing with others, you focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Instead of worrying about who is ahead of you, you focus on the difference you are making. Instead of defining yourself by external achievements, you define yourself by the value you bring to the world. That shift changes everything. Purpose fuels passion. Think about the people who wake up excited to work, who pour their energy into their craft with enthusiasm and joy. Those are people driven by purpose. They are not just clocking in and out. They are invested in something meaningful. They are creating, serving, building, and impacting lives. That kind of energy cannot be manufactured by success alone. External rewards may provide temporary motivation, but true passion comes from knowing that what you are doing matters. It is the difference between working a job and living a calling. Purpose also fuels perseverance. Success alone can be fragile. When setbacks happen, when failures arise, when things don't go as planned, people who are only chasing success often feel defeated. They feel like they have lost everything because their identity is tied to their achievements. But people who are driven by purpose see obstacles differently. They see challenges as lessons, failures as stepping stones, and difficulties as opportunities to grow. Because when you are living with purpose, you are not just working for a paycheck or a title. You are working towards something bigger than yourself. That kind of mindset creates resilience. It gives you the strength to keep going even when things are tough. Purpose brings clarity. Many people feel lost, unsure of what they want in life, constantly shifting from one thing to another, hoping to find fulfillment. But when you discover your purpose, decisions become clearer. You no longer waste time on things that do not align with your values. You no longer feel the need to say yes to every opportunity, every distraction, every trend. Instead, you operate with focus. You prioritize what truly matters. You invest your time, energy, and resources into things that bring lasting fulfillment. Purpose creates true fulfillment. Success alone can be deceptive. It can look good on the outside but feel empty on the inside. Many people have reached the top of their industry, gained wealth, power, and influence, only to realize they still feel unfulfilled. That is because true fulfillment does not come from external rewards. It comes from internal alignment. It comes from knowing that what you are doing has meaning. It comes from living in a way that serves a higher purpose. It comes from making a difference, leaving a legacy, and impacting lives in a meaningful way. Purpose aligns your life with something greater than yourself. It shifts your mindset from what can I get to how can I serve. It changes your focus from accumulation to contribution. It transforms your goals from being self-centered to being purpose-driven. And that shift is what creates lasting impact. Some of the greatest achievements in history were not the result of people chasing success for their own gain, but the result of people pursuing a purpose that benefited others. They saw a need, they filled a gap, they solved a problem, they created something meaningful, and because of that, they left a legacy that outlived them. Success without purpose is temporary. It is fragile. It can be taken away in an instant. But purpose is enduring. It does not depend on titles, positions, or circumstances. It remains constant no matter what happens in the world around you. When you are aligned with purpose, you do not fear losing success because your identity is not attached to it. You do not feel the need to constantly prove yourself because you are already secure in what you are doing. You do not worry about setbacks because you know that your work has meaning beyond the immediate results. People who live with purpose experience deeper relationships. When you are focused solely on success, relationships can sometimes take a back seat. You become so consumed with achieving that you neglect the people around you. But when you live with purpose, relationships become richer, more meaningful, and more fulfilling. You invest in people, you uplift others, you create connections that are based on something deeper than surface level success. And those relationships become a source of strength, joy, and support. Living with purpose shifts your definition of success. Instead of measuring your life by how much you have accumulated, you measure it by how much you have given. Instead of striving for personal gain, you strive for collective growth. Instead of working just for yourself, you work for something that benefits others. And in doing so, you achieve something far greater than traditional success. The world does not need more people who are just chasing success. It needs more people who are living with purpose. It needs more people who wake up every day with a mission, who see their work as meaningful, who operate with integrity, and who are committed to making a difference. The greatest impact is not made by those who simply want to be successful. It is made by those who are driven by a deep sense of purpose. That is what creates lasting change. That is what leads to a life well lived. That is what separates those who truly make a difference from those who simply achieve for themselves. When faith becomes the foundation of your life, clarity follows. Too many people walk through life feeling lost, uncertain, and overwhelmed by the constant noise of the world. They make decisions based on fear, doubt, and insecurity, rather than from a place of confidence and divine direction. Faith changes that. Faith removes the burden of having to figure everything out on your own. It allows you to trust that there is a plan greater than what you can see in the moment. It gives you the ability to move forward even when things don't make sense because you know that God is guiding every step you take. Life is full of uncertainties. No one can predict the future. Circumstances change. Opportunities come and go. People make promises and break them. The world is constantly shifting, and if you rely solely on your own understanding, you will always feel like you are struggling to keep up. That is why faith is so powerful. Faith gives you a sense of stability in an unstable world. It allows you to move with confidence even when you don't have all the answers. It keeps you anchored when everything around you feels chaotic. It brings a peace that surpasses human understanding because it is not based on circumstances. It is based on trust in something greater than yourself. When you align your life with God's plan, clarity replaces confusion. You no longer feel the need to chase after every opportunity, trend, or external validation. You no longer waste energy on things that are not meant for you. You begin to understand that not everything that looks good is good for you. You stop making impulsive decisions out of desperation and start making purposeful choices based on wisdom. Faith allows you to discern what is right and what is simply a distraction. It helps you recognize the difference between what is temporary and what is lasting. It keeps you from settling for less than what God has intended for you. Many people struggle with indecision. They overthink every step, analyzing every possibility, fearful of making the wrong choice. This paralysis comes from a lack of trust. When you try to control everything on your own, the weight of every decision feels overwhelming. But when you have faith, that weight is lifted. You understand that even if you don't have all the details figured out, God does. Even if you don't see the full picture, He is guiding your steps. That doesn't mean you won't have to take action, but it means you won't have to take action out of fear. You can move forward with certainty, knowing that you are being led in the right direction. Faith is what allows you to keep going when things don't go as planned. Life rarely unfolds the way we expect. There will be setbacks, disappointments, and detours along the way. People who rely only on their own strength often get discouraged when things don't go their way. They question whether they are on the right path. They doubt themselves. They feel like giving up. But people who operate in faith understand that even setbacks serve a purpose. They know that closed doors are sometimes blessings in disguise. They see obstacles as opportunities for growth rather than as reasons to quit. Faith allows you to trust the process even when the process is difficult. It gives you the patience to endure seasons of waiting without losing hope. It reminds you that delays are not denials and that God's timing is always better than your own. Faith also brings a deep sense of inner peace. So many people live with constant worry. They stress about the future, about what might happen, about things they can't control. Worry drains energy. It clouds judgment. It steals joy. But when you live by faith, you don't have to carry that weight. You understand that worrying won't change anything, but trusting God will. You realize that no amount of stress will fix a situation, but faith will give you the strength to navigate through it. Peace comes from knowing that you are not alone, that you don't have to have everything figured out, and that God is working things out for your good, even when you can't see it yet. Faith is what gives you boldness. It allows you to step into opportunities with confidence instead of hesitation. It removes the fear of failure because you know that even if something doesn't work out the way you planned, it is still part of the journey. When you walk in faith, you don't shrink back from challenges. You embrace them. You take risks not because you are reckless, but because you trust that God will equip you for whatever He calls you to do. You don't wait for everything to be perfect before you take action. You move forward knowing that God will provide what you need along the way. Faith also shifts your focus from seeking approval from others to seeking approval from God. So many people live their lives trying to please others, worried about what people think, constantly seeking validation. But human approval is fleeting. People's opinions change. What impresses the world today may be forgotten tomorrow. Faith frees you from that pressure. It allows you to live with integrity, to make choices based on what is right rather than what is popular, and to pursue a path that aligns with your values rather than with the expectations of others. When your confidence comes from God, you are no longer controlled by the opinions of people. You are free to be who you were created to be, without compromise, without fear, and without hesitation. Faith also helps you recognize your worth. Too many people base their self-worth on external achievements, relationships, or material possessions. They feel valuable when they are succeeding, but struggle with self-doubt when they face failure. But faith reminds you that your worth is not determined by what you do. It is determined by who you are in God's eyes. You are valuable not because of your accomplishments, but because you are created with a purpose. You are loved not because of your performance, but because God's love is unconditional. That kind of confidence is unshakable. It allows you to walk through life with a sense of identity that is not tied to circumstances. It keeps you from comparing yourself to others. It helps you appreciate your unique journey rather than constantly wishing you were somewhere else. Faith allows you to let go of the need for control. One of the greatest sources of stress in life comes from trying to control things that are beyond your power. People try to control outcomes, people, and situations only to find themselves frustrated when things don't go their way. But faith teaches you to surrender. It teaches you to do your part and trust God with the rest. It teaches you to let go of what you cannot change and focus on what you can. That kind of trust brings freedom. It releases anxiety. It allows you to move through life with confidence rather than stress. Faith is not passive. It does not mean sitting back and waiting for things to happen. It means taking action with the confidence that God is leading the way. It means making bold moves, stepping out of your comfort zone and pursuing the path that aligns with His plan for you. It means being obedient even when you don't fully understand why. It means trusting even when you can't see the next step clearly. Faith is what separates those who live with purpose from those who simply exist. It is what allows people to move forward without fear, to take risks without hesitation, and to persevere without losing hope. It is what brings clarity in the midst of confusion, peace in the midst of uncertainty, and strength in the midst of challenges. Faith requires action. It is not just about believing in something. It is about living in alignment with that belief. Too many people say they have faith, but their actions tell a different story. They pray for opportunities, but hesitate to take the necessary steps when those opportunities arise. They ask for direction, but remain stuck in fear, waiting for absolute certainty before they move. Faith is not about having all the answers. It is about trusting enough to take the next step, even when the full picture is unclear. It is about walking forward with confidence, knowing that each step will reveal more of the path ahead. Faith is the foundation of bold action. It gives you the courage to pursue dreams that seem impossible, to step into roles that feel beyond your capability, and to take on challenges that others shy away from. It eliminates hesitation, not because you have all the details worked out, but because you trust that the resources, strength, and wisdom you need will be provided along the way. Faith-driven action is what separates those who live extraordinary lives from those who settle for mediocrity. It is what allows people to break through barriers, overcome fear, and achieve things they never thought possible. People often wait for the perfect conditions before they take action. They think they need more experience, more knowledge, more validation before they begin. But faith does not work that way. Faith requires you to start where you are with what you have and trust that the rest will come as you move forward. The greatest breakthroughs happen when people step out before they feel fully ready. The doors that seem closed often open only after you take the first step. The resources that seem unavailable often appear once you begin to move in the direction of your purpose. Action fuels faith, and faith fuels more action. Hesitation is one of the biggest killers of potential. People hesitate out of fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of making the wrong decision. They overthink, analyze, and second-guess themselves into inaction. But faith demands movement. It requires you to trust that even if you stumble, even if things don't go as planned, there is still a purpose in the journey. Every experience, whether a success or a failure, becomes part of the learning process. People who live by faith understand that mistakes are not the end of the road. They are simply stepping stones to greater wisdom and growth. Faith-driven action requires persistence. It is not about taking one bold step and expecting instant results. It is about continuing to move forward, even when progress seems slow. Too many people give up too soon. They take a few steps, encounter obstacles, and assume that it wasn't meant to be. But faith teaches you to push through resistance. It teaches you to keep going when others would quit. It gives you the endurance to keep believing, keep striving, and keep showing up even when the results are not immediate. One of the greatest examples of faith-driven action is persistence in the face of adversity. Every person who's achieved something great has encountered obstacles along the way. They have faced criticism, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But what separates them from those who never reach their potential is their ability to keep going. They do not let fear dictate their decisions. They do not allow temporary failure to define their future. They understand that challenges are part of the process and they move forward regardless. Faith is not about avoiding difficulties. It is about having the strength to overcome them. Faith also requires obedience. Sometimes you are called to do things that don't make sense in the moment. You are led in directions that seem uncertain or uncomfortable. But faith means trusting that there is a purpose behind every step, even when you don't see the full picture. It means saying yes, even when the path is unfamiliar. It means following the guidance you receive, even when it contradicts conventional wisdom. People who live by faith understand that obedience leads to opportunity. The greatest blessings often come on the other side of obedience. Taking action in faith also means letting go of the need for approval. Many people hesitate to step into their calling because they fear what others will think. They worry about being judged, criticized, or misunderstood. But faith requires you to move forward regardless of public opinion. It requires you to trust that your path is not meant to be understood by everyone. It demands that you prioritize divine direction over human validation. When you live by faith, you stop seeking permission from the world and start operating with confidence in your purpose. Fear and faith cannot coexist. One will always overpower the other. If you allow fear to dictate your choices, faith will take a back seat. But when you let faith lead, fear loses its grip. It does not mean you will never feel fear, but it does mean that fear will no longer control you. You will take action despite fear. You will move forward even when doubt tries to creep in. You will develop the mindset that fear is simply a test of your faith, not a reason to stop. The greatest achievements in history were made by people who chose faith over fear, action over hesitation, and boldness over comfort. Faith-driven action also requires patience. Just because you take a step in faith does not mean the results will be immediate. There will be times when progress feels slow, when prayers seem unanswered, when the vision you are working toward feels distant. But patience is part of the process. Faith teaches you to keep working, keep believing, and keep trusting even when you do not see instant results. It reminds you that just because something is not happening on your timeline does not mean it is not happening. Growth takes time. Breakthroughs require perseverance. The most successful people are those who refuse to give up, even when progress is not visible. Faith also calls you to serve. True faith is not self-centered. It is not just about personal gain or individual success. It is about using what you have been given to make an impact. When you take action in faith, you are not just building your own future, you are contributing to something greater. You are inspiring others, uplifting those around you, and being a light in a world that needs it. The most fulfilled people are those who recognize that their purpose is not just about them. They understand that faith-driven action is meant to create a ripple effect, impacting lives beyond their own. Living by faith means embracing change. Growth requires movement, and movement often requires stepping into the unknown. Too many people stay stuck in situations that no longer serve them because they fear change. But faith calls you to evolve. It calls you to step out of your comfort zone and into a greater purpose. It requires you to trust that what lies ahead is better than what you are leaving behind. People who resist change often miss out on the opportunities meant for them. But those who embrace it with faith experience expansion, transformation, and new levels of success. Faith-driven action requires discipline. It is not just about taking bold steps. It is about consistency. It is about showing up every day, even when motivation fades. It is about doing the small things with excellence, knowing that they build the foundation for bigger things. It is about staying committed to the vision, even when distractions try to pull you away. Discipline is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. Faith alone is not enough. It must be accompanied by daily action, relentless focus, and unwavering commitment. The power of faith-driven action is undeniable. It transforms fear into courage, hesitation into momentum, and uncertainty into confidence. It allows people to live boldly, to pursue their purpose with passion, and to step into opportunities that others shy away from. It shifts the mindset from waiting for things to happen to making things happen. It replaces doubt with determination, stagnation with progress, and excuses with execution. Those who live by faith do not wait for permission, perfect conditions, or absolute certainty. They move forward with trust, knowing that every step taken in faith leads to greater impact, growth, and fulfillment. Faith is the ultimate source of strength. It is the force that keeps you going when everything around you seems to be falling apart. It is what gives you resilience in the face of adversity, determination when obstacles arise, and courage when fear tries to take over. Strength is not just about physical endurance or mental toughness. It is about having a foundation that cannot be shaken no matter what challenges come your way. True strength does not come from external circumstances. It comes from within, from the deep-rooted belief that no matter how difficult things may seem, you are not alone, and you are equipped to overcome whatever stands in your way. Life will test you. There will be moments when you feel like you have nothing left to give, when setbacks pile up, when disappointments hit one after another. People who rely solely on their own strength often crumble under the weight of these challenges. They burn out, lose hope, and let the hardships define them. But those who draw their strength from faith have a different experience. They do not break when life gets tough. They bend, they adapt, they persevere. They understand that difficulties are temporary and that they have been given everything they need to withstand the storm. Strength through faith is not about avoiding hardship. It is about facing it with confidence. It is about knowing that every challenge carries a lesson, every setback is a setup for a comeback, and every moment of struggle is shaping you into the person you are meant to become. People who live by faith do not see obstacles as reasons to quit. They see them as opportunities to grow stronger. They do not allow fear to dictate their choices because they know that fear is a liar, a thief that tries to steal potential, dreams, and purpose. They replace fear with faith, hesitation with action, and doubt with determination. Faith-driven strength is what keeps you standing when everything around you is trying to knock you down. It is what allows you to hold on when others would let go. It is what gives you the ability to endure seasons of difficulty without losing sight of the bigger picture. Life is not easy, and no one is exempt from hardship. The difference between those who rise above challenges and those who are defeated by them is not in the circumstances themselves. It is in how they respond. When your strength comes from faith, you respond differently. You do not panic in the face of uncertainty. You do not let temporary struggles make permanent decisions for you. You do not let failure define you because you know that failure is not final unless you stop trying. Faith-driven strength also fuels resilience. Resilience is not just about surviving tough times. It is about thriving despite them. It is about taking every hardship and using it as fuel to propel you forward. It is about getting back up every time you fall, learning from every misstep, and growing through every struggle. People who lack faith often give up too soon. They see difficulty as a sign to stop, a signal that they are on the wrong path. But those who operate in faith see difficulty as part of the process. They know that nothing worth having comes easy, and that perseverance is what separates those who succeed from those who fall short. Faith gives you the endurance to keep moving forward, even when progress seems slow. Many people start strong but lose momentum when they don't see immediate results. They get discouraged, distracted, or impatient. But faith teaches you that just because you don't see the results yet doesn't mean the progress isn't happening. It reminds you that every effort, every sacrifice, every step forward is building something greater. Strength is not about quick wins. It is about lasting success, and lasting success requires perseverance. Strength through faith also brings peace in the midst of chaos. So many people live with constant stress, anxiety, and worry about the future. They try to control everything, plan every detail, and predict every outcome. But the truth is, life is unpredictable. No matter how much you try to control, there will always be things outside of your power. People who do not operate in faith struggle with this reality. They stress over things they cannot change. They live in fear of what might go wrong, and they exhaust themselves trying to manage every possibility. But those who live in faith understand that true strength comes from surrendering what you cannot control and focusing on what you can. Faith-driven strength teaches you to let go of the need to have all the answers. It allows you to release the pressure of figuring everything out on your own and trust that there is a plan greater than what you can see in the moment. It gives you the freedom to move forward without the burden of worry, knowing that you are being guided, supported, and equipped for whatever comes next. This kind of strength brings confidence, not arrogance. It allows you to navigate life with a sense of calm assurance, knowing that no matter what happens, you will be able to handle it. Strength through faith also creates unshakable confidence. Many people struggle with self-doubt, questioning whether they are good enough, smart enough, or capable enough to achieve their goals. They let insecurity hold them back from pursuing opportunities, taking risks, and stepping into their full potential. But faith-driven confidence eliminates doubt. It reminds you that you are not alone in your journey and that you have been given everything you need to succeed. It shifts your focus from what you lack to what you already possess. It silences the voice of doubt and amplifies the voice of purpose. Faith-driven strength also fosters discipline. Strength is not just about handling tough situations. It is about having the consistency to show up every day even when you don't feel like it. It is about doing what needs to be done even when motivation fades. People who rely only on their emotions struggle with discipline because they only take action when they feel inspired. But faith teaches you to push past feelings and stay committed to the vision. It gives you the ability to keep going, keep working, keep believing, even when progress is not yet visible. Strength through faith also changes the way you handle setbacks. Too many people let failure define them. They take one defeat and turn it into a lifetime of regret. But faith-driven strength sees setbacks as setups for something greater. It teaches you to extract lessons from every experience, to use failures as stepping stones, and to turn challenges into opportunities. People who operate in faith understand that every closed door leads to a better one. Every delay has a purpose, and every hardship is preparing them for the next level. Faith also strengthens relationships. When your strength comes from faith, you are able to show up for others in a way that is uplifting and supportive. You are not operating from a place of scarcity, fear, or insecurity, so you are able to pour into others without feeling depleted. Faith-driven strength allows you to encourage, inspire, and uplift those around you because you are not constantly drained by stress, fear, or doubt. You are able to lead with confidence, love with an open heart, and support those who need it because you are anchored in something greater than yourself. Faith-driven strength also helps you push past limitations. So many people live with a limited mindset, believing that they can only achieve so much, only go so far, only accomplish what is within their comfort zone. But faith removes limitations, expands your vision, increases your capacity, and challenges you to step into something greater. People who operate in faith do not settle for mediocrity. They strive for excellence. They do not let past failures define them. They use them as fuel. They do not let fear dictate their decisions. They operate with boldness, confidence, and unwavering belief. Strength through faith also brings fulfillment. Many people chase external success, thinking that achievements, wealth, or status will bring them happiness. But true fulfillment comes from knowing that you are walking in alignment with your purpose. It comes from living a life of meaning, impact, and contribution. Faith-driven strength allows you to wake up every day with a sense of purpose, knowing that you are here for a reason and that your life has significance beyond just personal success. It keeps you grounded, focused, and inspired even when the journey gets tough.